Welcome to Wisdom from the Word. Bible Fellowship Church is a family of believers who want to help others discover and strengthen their relationship with Jesus Christ. And we're praying this message helps you strengthen your walk with Him. Now let's dive in.
Well, hello and welcome to Wisdom from the Word, Bible Fellowship Church's weekly video devotional podcast where we unpack a verse from Proverbs or somewhere in the wisdom literature and just try to apply it to our life and see what God has to say to us today, which is plenty. Now, typically this is not my bag, but I know that this is Halloween weekend. And I know that there's a lot of different opinions about Halloween and what we do with that. I'm not here to weigh in on that, but a lot of the draw for, the different Halloween activities seems to be fear. There's a terror trail, haunted walk set up in Sebring, and it has been. There's haunted houses, scare-a-thon, scream-a-thon. A lot of the themes have to do with fear. And when we're talking about Halloween, we're talking about jump scares and monsters in the dark and things like this. But the obvious application to us as believers is that Scripture has a lot to say about fear, about things that we should fear and things that we should not fear. Now, what are some of the things that we as humans are prone to fear and we should not? Well, the first one's going to come from the book of Proverbs. This is Proverbs 29, verse 25, that says, "The fear of man lays a snare." We are very prone to fearing what people think about us, or what people might do to us, or what people might say about us behind our backs. The opinions and approval of other people can become, what Scripture says, a snare to us. It can cause us to make unwise decisions based on fearing what man thinks and not what God thinks. Well, what's another thing we can fear? We can fear our circumstances. Psalm 23, verse 4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." Now, there's going to be times when God will bring us through the valley of the shadow of death. He will bring us through difficult circumstances. He will allow us to experience confusion and hurt and pain. But what do we do about that? Well, what the rest of the verse says, "I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." We do not need to fear our circumstances. We do not need to fear what people think of us. What does Scripture tell us we should fear? Well, in both the book of Psalms and Proverbs, Scripture tells us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. I didn't finish Proverbs 29, verse 25, that says, "The fear of man lays a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe." And there's tons of Scripture passages that remind us that we have no reason to fear if we fear and trust the Lord. Psalm 27, verse 1, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" Psalm 56, verse 3 and 4, and there's a Steve Green song that my kids sing. They were singing it this morning, actually. "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you, in God whose word I praise. In God I trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me?" Matthew 10:28 says, "And do not fear those who kill the body." Talking about men. And what God says is, there is a limit to what men can do to you. They can disparage you, they can hurt you, they can even kill you. But that's the end of their power. They cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Now that sounds scary, almost like we need to be afraid of God, as though he's going to hurt us. But what does the rest of this passage say? "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows." God says, I have the power that you should fear. But for those who have entered into a relationship with me, through my Son Jesus Christ, they have no reason to fear. Fear not, he says, I'm looking out for you. Finally, 1 Peter 5, verses 6 and 7, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxieties on him, because he cares for you." We will experience fears in this life. We will experience anxiety. We will worry. We will get frustrated. But every time that we encounter these situations, Scripture says, trust God. Lay it at his feet. Bring it to him in prayer. It's the Philippians 4. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, with thanksgiving for who God is and what he has done, cast your anxieties on him. And Scripture promises